Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
And welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you hanging on in there with us all week long to get to R Keith Andrews tonight in the ET Connection. We're going to have a lot of fun with all of you tonight. I am a little worn out. I went back to the gym for the first time in a year. Oh, Nelly. Whew. Well, we got a show to do, so it doesn't matter about if I'm tired or not. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position, Trucker Andrew with the silver, Kathy Evans with a nice bronze medal tonight, Chris 716, Laura Lobbs, Kurt M., how are you? Jimmy Gonzalez, Tim Mothman, and Tim Mothman's goatee. Good to see you. Robert Lamoth, Forrest Louie, how you doing? Mike Rivers, thanks for coming on in as we continue on with roll call. There's Pam Harris. Give her a wave. She always waves back. Badass Billy Gunn, how you doing, buddy? Brown Dwarf, the lovely and talented Kira, Jennifer Patterson, number 4 in your program, starting at right defense from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson, T-Bone, how are you? Hello there, Human Carl, and Jennifer Patterson, and Jennifer Patterson, and Jennifer Patterson, and Eternity Eternal, SG Nav Spotter, Attorney to the EBEs, what's happening? And let's continue on with our roll call. Scrolling on down. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. W. David Page, good to see you. Paula Foss, Lightwalkers, Millennia, my man. Nice to have you all here. And who else is joining us? Destiny Rocks is here. Destiny will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Over on Facebook, Susan Lawrence and Sparkles. Nice to see you both. Thank you for coming on in. And where are we here? Scrolling on down, we have Chris. Teen, how are you? Vanessa, thank you for joining us. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start the show. Ray Finn returns. Ray Finn will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Super Crazy, how are you? Deer Slayer, Skip to Maloo, and Digger Dog, good evening and good morning to you guys. Scrolling on down, Zed Hut has returned. Hi, Zed Hut. Thomas Rock, Forrest Louie, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you very, very much. And who else is here? Scrolling on down, Donna Spencer, looking sweet tonight. Marty Burback, nice to have you here. And Mike Rivers, good to see you. Scrolling down. There's Mama Susan. T2E, how are you, my dear? And Joanne. Warden Dragon. Doc from Wyoming. Oh, a lot of guys who haven't been here in a while. Thank you for joining us. And scrolling on down. Quantum Momentum, good to see you. And I think we are caught up. Check Facebook, yeah. Check Facebook. Oh, come on. Get out of the way. All right, there we are. All right, let's get the radio side going. Hello there on the podcast and radio side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you tuning us on in. And R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection coming up momentarily as we are in the middle of roll call here, awaiting the arrival of Bill WD-40 to lube us up for tonight's show. Hello there, Unknown Cryptid. How you doing? And reminder to all of you, the super chat is open. As well, our store and our website, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag. Go tell a friend. Nothing ugly on our store. Keith, we got 15 seconds. Going to get you ready. And I'm going to get all the audience ready as well. There he is, Bill WD-40, lubing like anything right now to make it smooth. Hi, Nina Williams. How are you? Horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of fun tonight. R Keith Andrews turns up the woo and brings us the ET Connection. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton joins us with another spooky story. Terry Hall filling in for Courtney Marcassani on the UFO Report. Yes, it is that time of the month where we say hello to our good friend, the pork chop wearing R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Yes, not only an impressive set of sideburns, Keith is a lifelong experiencer of the supernatural and unknown realms of UFOs, aliens, paranormal, supernatural. Today, he spends his time counseling each and every one of you out there on your own experiences. This is a little bit different show. We take a lot of questions from our audience that are in our YouTube chat room, and we say hello to R. Keith Andrews. How you doing, my friend? Good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio.
Nice to be back. It's still mind-boggling to me the length of time we've been doing this.
It is, but we have an exciting announcement with you. We do. You will be attending the 3rd annual SOR fan party in Reno, Nevada, May 10th through 12th at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. So thank you for coming on in to join us and support SOR, and more importantly, get to spend time with our fans.
Yeah, it's going to be a riot. I'm going to be there a lot longer than I was planning on, but it's already booked, the hotel room, the whole 9 yards. So I'll be arriving sometime, I think, in the evening of the 8th, actually. But there's a very big reason for that one. But I'll be there for a while. So, absolutely drop in. I'm sure it's going to be a riot now that I've got past the initial stress of getting it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun, Keith, having you there and being a part of things. The big thing is, for anybody who's wondering what our fan party is, each and every year we do a fan party. This will be the 3rd year that we've done it. The first 2 were in Las Vegas. This time we're going to Reno. We have a live radio show, and we'll have a VIP party because we're going to have a lot of cool guests there. And then from there on Saturday, that's the Friday night. On Saturday, we have a bunch of people coming in to take you out on a ghost tour of Virginia City. Following that up that night, Melinda Leslie will take us out on a sky watch for UFOs using night vision goggles, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to the weekend. I love spending it with our fans, and the fact that you're going to be there and committed to going now, and you've already got your hotel room at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. Keith, I'm very much looking forward to seeing you again, my man.
It's been way too long in my eyes.
I agree.
Some of the people I haven't met yet. Many of the fans I haven't met yet, but definitely looking forward to that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Me too. What's new on the ET front? You got some aliens lately?
Well, it turns out there's a couple of new ones that have shown up in the area that are a couple of new ones and a couple of quite literally demons that have shown up. That it's getting interestingly hectic because with mankind doing what man's up to, there's a lot more attention from some of the outer reaches. But they've only
where are these bad ones coming from?
Bad? No. In all fairness, it's really hard for me to go to look at any given race and go they're bad or they're good. It's a mixed bag across the board. But there is now where they just try and remember here. There was a critter that showed up just the other day. Now the Coddle and the Econ, they've arrived, but like they're here anyway. Mind you, you got to remember the Econ and the Ecodal are not exactly what we would consider interactive, and you really don't want them on Earth on their own. Okay, primarily because many of you guys are science fiction fans, and with that in mind, the Econ, you guys already know them. You just didn't realize they were real. You would know them by the name tribbles, but they are a primary food source where they come from. But there is a new, not avian race, but they look much more like bat than anything else. They're now coming into the area. They come from the same planet that the Zeta Reticulans have come from. We've recently also come in contact with, on top of the Zeta Reticulans, who many people know as the Greys. We now have just recently, within the last couple of months, started making contact, and they're becoming a little bit more visible. Zeta Reticulans, the Beta Reticulans, the Data and the Reta Reticulans, which are all you got to understand with the Greys, they are literally, if you will, races based on what their specialty is. The Zetas happen to be, they happen to be your scientists. That's what most people get abducted by. Okay, where it comes to the Greys. And of course, if the Greys are involved, you can bet that the Nordics are right tight, close to hand.
How come? What's the relationship between the Nordics and the Greys?
Well, the Greys, because of their appearance, scare a lot of people. Okay, just because of their different appearance. The Nordics, on the other hand, look human and are a lot more physically imposing. So if there is a problem, they can either calm humans down simply because they look human and therefore are a little easier to relate to. And if that's not the case, they're physically powerful enough to restrain most humans. Because it is a normal thing for humans to get panicky. Let's face it, humans just on the whole don't take well to being abducted. Can't imagine why not.
Yeah.
So more often than not, you'll have a couple of Nords on board with them if for no other reason than to just calm things down if necessary.
I had an experience about a week and a half ago, Keith, that I meant to want to talk to you about.
Sure, fire away.
Well, it was a week ago Thursday, and I went to bed probably about 1 in the morning, which is normal for me.
I was
Crawl
gonna
into bed,
mention,
go into a deep sleep, and I recall having this dream that I'm either outside in a dark alleyway or a dark room. I think it's an alleyway. Everything's dark black, but I know my dad is there. I know my cousin is there, and I know one of my old friends is there. And all of them are alive, just for record speaking. And I know I had put my cell phone down on this wood step. Okay, and
right.
I didn't have my iPhone with me. I had like one of those old indestructible Nokia 1995 phones. You know the ones about
Oh, yeah.
3 big, yeah.
Yeah, you can
Anyways,
hit somebody with them and you hurt them a lot.
exactly. Anyways, I watched or the phone started to ring. And the ringtone was the Close Encounters theme. Do 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 do. I pick up the phone to answer it, and I immediately start feeling the gravitational pull. And now I know I'm going. Every time I feel that pull, I know I'm going. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
I drop the
Been there,
phone.
done that.
Yep. I drop the phone, and next thing I know, I wake up and I'm like, damn it, I was taken. And I know the beings are behind me, and I'm waiting for them to leave. And I'm kind of peering over my shoulder so I could see out the window. I see this beam of light come down outside of my window onto my patio. It's only a split second. Boom! It feels like the aliens are gone. Okay, and I
Yeah,
wake up. And I said to my partner, I said, "I've been taken. I just got back. It was 2:09 a.m." So I immediately have to go to the bathroom. And I wiggle my way, I got a king size bed and I'm in the middle, so I got to wiggle my chubby little body all the way over to the edge of the bed. I hop on the floor, and the minute my feet touched the floor, I was shivering cold. Like completely, Keith, in like uncontrollable shivers, teeth chattering, everything. I run to the bathroom, do my thing, chattering, and now I'm even colder. So I'm like, screw this. Gotta have a shower. Okay, I'm way too cold. I gotta heat up. So I had about a 10-15 minute shower and warmed myself up. Then I put sweatpants on, a t-shirt on, crawled back into bed, and wake up in the morning. Wake up in the morning, my chest feels different. Right by my heart, on the left side of my heart. My chest
right.
feels different. And I am feeling all emotional. Like I feel like something was healed. Okay. And I can still feel it. It's like it was like an incredible experience. I was very emotional about it, to be blunt. And long story short, I get ready for work. I call my dad up. I said, Dad, how did you sleep last night? Because my dad's one of them five senses Alberta boys that don't believe in anything unless you can, use your senses to get to it.
Yeah, if you can quantify it, it's there.
Yeah. My dad he goes, I got up a couple of times in the middle of the night, but, you know, typical night. I said, what time did you get up? He goes, well, I got up at 7 o'clock this morning. I said, no, no, no. The first time you got up last night, what time did you get up? He goes, I don't know. It was just after 2. I said, can you be more specific? Was it around 2:09, 2:10? And he's like, yeah. It was actually. Okay, well, that coincides with me waking up. Okay. All right, there's the first synchronicity. Second one comes, I said, "Why'd you wake up?" He goes, "I was so cold. I was shivering. I was cold. So I had to go get myself another blanket." Well, that's
Okay.
number 2 of synchronicity. And now I'm starting to laugh, right? I said, "Dad, just out of curiosity, how do you feel this morning?" He goes, "Son." Oh no, what woke him up at 2 o'clock? Let me just preface this. What woke him up at 2 o'clock in the morning that he was cold was he heard a bang on the floor somewhere in his home. And remember I told you I dropped the cell phone?
Yeah. About the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So I asked him, I said, "How do you feel this morning?" And he goes, "Son, I actually feel really good. This is the first morning in months I haven't woke up wheezing and coughing." Like my dad quit smoking a couple of years ago.
Oh,
And
congratulations for him.
he had smoked for like 60 years, man. Okay. And he quit. So he still has a little bit of lung issues, but nothing that's going to cause him problems. But he still wakes up most mornings wheezing and coughing. Okay. And that morning he did not. He said his chest felt clear. So I
Nice.
don't know what happened. I don't know who took us. I know my dad was there. I know he's not having recall of the craft, but he was feeling better. What the hell happened, Keith?
Well, let's start with the obvious. You were definitely both taken. I would, if I were you, if you're looking for quantifiable data, you might want to get a doctor to take a look at your heart, because I'm getting told the upper right, man, the upper right, I think it's the ventricle, but it's the upper right access point anyway. Does feel like it's been cleared out, which probably means your heart should be running a little better. I know you haven't been having, or at least I don't think you've been having major problems,
They were starting.
but they were starting. I don't get the feeling they're going to go very far. Okay. The cold that can be a number of causes for it, but it's quite often associated with a healing process. You're most likely, due to the emphasis on the healing, you most likely would be Pleiadian. Although the Greys have been known to do it. In my case, it was Trezasians, but your most likely bet is the Pleiadians.
Well,
Now, why you? Well, you got friends in high places.
yes. I just found it extremely weird that happened and that my dad experienced. I called my cousin just to see if something happened to him. He had no recall whatsoever. Nothing.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
not everybody does have full recall, as you're well aware.
yeah. See, when I went to turn, when I saw the light of the craft out the window shoot down, it right before that, it felt like there were 2 grays standing behind me.
Try that again.
I said right before, like when I got back and I saw the craft and the light out the
Yeah,
window, it felt like there were 2 grays behind me because I did
that would
not want
make
to keep
sense. I get a kick out of it because we saw this happening. Matter of fact, you and I talked about it a few months back. That that you had, that Carl was coming back. Told you he'd done his penance, as it were, and was getting to come back. You can bet your bottom dollar he had a say in he had input into bringing the people in that collected you. Now, whether he was actually on board or not is a debatable point.
Right. Well, the one of the issues that I'm noticing though, Keith, is that I wasn't gone very long, and it was only about an hour. I mean, I don't even know how long it was because I mean, I was fast asleep. and I just don't have any recall of it. None at all.
Well, the neat part there, see, quite often what happens, the grays are the best where it comes to the research. But when you're looking at healers, the Pleiadians do not take time. It's just routine for them. Repairing damage to a heart is as routine for them as it is for most people to put a Band-Aid on a cut.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple.
Right.
And when you and I first started talking on here, I mentioned they were watching. I mentioned even back then they were watching what you were up to. It's one thing being on a list that the government watches. It's another being on these guys' radar.
Oh, I understand that. And I just, to me, it was just okay. Like, it just felt different than every other time that I've been taken that I know of. It just felt really, really different. And, you know, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say.
To me, the feeling different would make sense because every other time we've talked, it's been literally Carl and his people that have dealt with you. This time, I don't, Carl may well have had something to do with having you picked up. But quite frankly, it does from my end. It feels very much like you were looking Pleiadians. Can I prove it? Not a snowball's prayer.
Well, I'll get you to look into that one heavily just to kind of check that on out, because it's just kind of weird. I mean,
oh, yeah, it's very definitely weird. Yeah, very definitely.
Well, there were no body scars, no marks, no nothing. So I'm kind of disappointed in that. Was hoping for.
We can talk to them and see what we can do about getting some scar tissue put in if you'd like. I know the Vegans are very happy to do that.
I'm just looking for evidence, man.
I see. You're not looking for a pain.
No, I'm not looking for any pain. Not looking for any pain whatsoever. But we got about 90 seconds to go here. We're going to be talking about alien abductions tonight with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection, because it doesn't happen to all of us, but for those of us who do got aliens, it can either be a godsend or an absolute nightmare.
Oh, Lord, yeah. And the range is absolutely bizarre.
Why is that?
Well, each individual person has to deal with it in their own way. But the fact is, so many people go, gee, I really wish I could meet an alien. What they don't realize is wishing to meet one in the actual physical interaction can be extremely disconcerting. Because, I mean, what it was like when you first started looking into this stuff. And the first time you went out looking for any evidence that Bigfoot was there. You remember the excitement when you found out your first markers.
Oh, yes. That I do.
After that, after the first one, none will compare. But everybody has to figure it out in their own way. It's just nice hearing from many people, like whoever we're talking to tonight. You got to remember, whatever you've gone through, somebody else has probably gone through something like it and just haven't had the courage to say anything.
Well, on that note, Keith, we're going to take our first break of the night. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continues on Spaced Out Radio. We're having a lot of fun tonight. We're going to bring the woo to you. It's all focused on alien abductions tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Oh, aliens. You got aliens? Let us know. Deidre says, Perhaps, Dave, they were working on the heart valves and increased oxygen saturation to organs. Hopefully. Jeremy Womack, welcome to SOR Chat. How are you? Yep. Okay, guys, I need you. Hey, Paisley Parker. Need you to start putting your questions in. Start putting your questions in capital letters if you don't mind. For R Keith, remember, this show is all about you. I don't prepare interviews for him because we always take your questions. Alien abductions. That's the topic. Du jour. Du jour. Extra Temptation Island Trios. Well, we're glad, Jeremy, and we're glad you're here. Look at that nice compliment there. Look at that nice compliment. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Very
no doubt.
Very, very much. Not bad for a good old Canadian kid here. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do like Mary R's question there.
Where are they? Oh, thank you, T2E. Very much appreciate your love and support. Thank you. Hope to see you in Reno. All right. Deirdre, I got your question. Mm-hmm. Where is Mary R's question? I didn't see it. Oh, right there. Try and remember to, if you can, put it in capital letters. Yeah, I got it. Oh, Jeremy Womack's in Alaska. Look at that. You're only 32 hours north of me if I'm driving. I've never been up that high. Trucker Andrew, thank you for that super chat, man. Very much appreciate that. Chatbot Marco, welcome to SOR Chat. I saw one in a dream. Huge head, humanoid, the size of a basketball hoop board, and all. He tosses me some metallic material, and when I caught it, it felt like a sponge. Pretty amazing. Wow, that's kind of cool. I think, I'm not sure if they fixed my nose, but yes, that is the other point too, Keith. Millennium reminding me, because I told this story the other night. The next morning, I could actually breathe out of my nose.
Yeah, which would make total sense if you're gonna be working on getting oxygen flow. The major intakes, being the nose and the mouth, you kind of want to have them working.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, you've been having trouble with them.
Yes, very much so, bud. But I am also on day 3 of using, no, day 4 now, pardon me, of using my CPAP machine, which is helping. Juliana McGill, thank you for joining us. Pocket Reality, is it only about alien abduction? Well, we're going to try and keep focused, but if you have other questions for Keith, yeah, ask away. Ask away. That's what we're trying to do, but we'd prefer alien abductions tonight. T-Bone, thank you for that second super chat, my man. T-Bone, I'm going to spoil him soon.
Uh-oh. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, yeah, he's very good. Hey, Guy, what's happening? Where's my buddy Guy? 1 second here, chat bot Marco. Gotta find your other comment. I like that. I'll ask Keith that, okay? And Kira. There we go. We got 15 seconds. Do not forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Oh, I got to keep my finger in focus. No ugly swag. Go shopping in our store today. Here we go. Second half hour, Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate burning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go with R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection. Keith, thank you so much for joining us once again to talk about all things ET. And, you know, it's always a good conversation with you here, my man.
Oh, it's been a wild, it's been a wild, I think we're in year 9, so that would make it almost a real wild, almost decade, which is just weird from my standpoint.
We got some audience.
The only person tolerated.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Finish.
This is the only people that have tolerated me that long have been, quite frankly, for the most part, family.
And us. We've tolerated you.
Oh, absolutely. Prior to that, though, it was weird. Like this hasn't straightened things up much. But you got a list coming up, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. All right, R. Keith. We're going to start off our questions from the audience with Deidre tonight. Do aliens mask experiencers into a different dimensional space, R. Keith?
No. They do put, depending on the race, they absolutely do put mass memories on. Normally, it will be something passive, like, for instance, making it look like an owl or a deer, primarily because the eyes are easy to compensate for. But no, they stay in the third dimension. They sometimes will vibrate faster and thereby appear to disappear altogether. But they don't take them to another dimension per se. Just another location, which, by the way, can be just as disconcerting.
Mm-hmm. Do they ever let us know where that location is?
Some people find out. Okay. Like I've talked to some experiencers that have ended up on a brand new landscape where I've been able to pin down not the astronomical location, but I've been able to pin down what race's planet they ended up on. And it's not always Earth. Matter of fact, if they go off world, 9 times out of 10, it's got nothing to do with Earth.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I can see that. I can see that. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Mary. What's with the red, blue, yellow lights?
Well, the only ship that I know of, the only race that carries that kind, assuming that, because with that, I've got to assume that these were lights that were coming from above the clouds. That would put them in, and they would be traveling in a cyclic pattern. But you're looking at the Talons. And the Talons are an ant-like people. They are webcasters. Some of you may have seen, encountered being completely cocooned or in cubby holes, okay, where you were completely cocooned. And it's that kind of a setup that the Talons use. not the nicest people. They're the one race I have serious trouble with, and they've learned that this isn't necessarily a good thing. But the most likely ones that she's looking at are the Talon.
All right, let's continue on here. Let us go over to Kira, who is asking, when I was 7, I had a very large bright light being at the end of my bed. What do you think that being was, or what its purpose was? Was it Star Family?
In all likelihood, it was a Yumion. Quite possibly a member of your Star Family. Star Family or Soul Family is a debatable point. All family members in the spiritual sense are not necessarily human. But the body you're referring to, in all likelihood, was a Yumion. They are a light-based entity, and drawn very much to the positive, to the more positive passive emanations that humans give off on the subquantum level. Odds are you were dealing at 7. Odds are you were dealing with simply a curiosity thing.
Why do aliens just seem to do that? Hang out at the end of a bed staring down at you like a creeper.
Well, primarily because humans have, first of all, you show up in front of a human when they're awake, and they go bolting off into the closet or screaming somewhere, help, I'm under attack, invasion, etc. If you're asleep, they can scan the brainwave and find out what you're thinking about and where your real mind is going, with less impact on the individual.
All right, let's move to Super Crazy. What Earth animals are not originally from Earth?
Well, you've got a few. Okay. Some of your jellyfish, the octopi, quite literally the octopi came from a whole different area. Those are 2 of your biggest ones. There are a couple of the bats that are very similar. I don't honestly know if the larger bats evolved here or if they showed up, if you will. But those are some of your bigger ones, of the more obvious ones. And of course, we can say it's not an animal per se, but the chupacabra did not originate here. That I realized is a cryptid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. What is it now? I believe it's the spare knocked in. There are certain undersea sponges. Well, you don't have any surface ones. There are some sponges that are not originally from here. But the massive majority of animals on this planet evolved here.
Okay. Moving on, R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Let's go to Millennium. Oh, that was for me. Did they not fix your nose as well, Dave? Yes. Yes, they did. I think they did at least. Super Crazy wants to know, do ETs have criminals in prisons on their worlds?
Whoa, try that again.
Do ETs have criminals and prisons on their worlds?
That depends entirely on the race. Some of them just eat their criminals outright. Okay, so yeah, there are some races that you break the law and they will simply turn you into dinner. Thereby eliminating your repeat offenders altogether. There are some, for instance, the Angolas. If they break the law, they don't have any prisons up in their world. So what they do is they take their wings away and drop them on Earth. because they will blend in without the wings. They'll blend in perfectly. And then they've got to prove that they're worthy and they're back on track to get returned, to get brought home. But every race has criminals. Every race, every species has criminals. It's just humans have a much higher tolerance and much leaner sentencing than what many of the off-world races have.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing you got to remember is where it comes to many of the races, you do not want to be put in their prisons because they are certainly anything but a spa.
Gotcha. All right. Let us go to our next question. This one is a two-parter from chatbot Marco. I saw one in a dream. Huge head, humanoid the size of a basketball hoop, board and all. He tosses me some metallic material, and when I caught it, it felt like a sponge. Pretty amazing. Wondering what species I encountered. He was huge. I'd fit in his hand easily. Very friendly guy.
You're most likely, if he was that size, would be an Anunnaki. Anunnaki were literally giant. They are. When I talk about giant sized, the smallest are 15 feet, but they've been known to reach as tall as 30. So yeah, at 6 feet tall, if you're 30 feet tall, you'll sit easily in the palm of his hand. And I have no idea how tall this individual is, so figure it out from there.
All right. Tall beings. Let's go to Kira. Years ago, I was having a Reiki session with a healer when 3 blue beings about 3 feet tall showed up. What do you think those beings were, R Keith?
If you were in the middle of a healing session, with blue people, the odds are you were literally dealing with Pleiadians. They have to learn somewhere. You were probably in what would amount to a medical school, albeit a mobile medical school. But let's face it, humans aren't over in the Pleiades. And the nice part with humans is they're very easy to repair. But that's your most likely. It could have theoretically been young Aldebarans as well.
Why do some races choose to help and others choose to experiment?
That almost literally boils down to personal choice. Most of the time, the experiments are because they're there for scientific research. Once in a while, just like with humans, a researcher will take a shine to the given plight of an individual animal and decide it's going to repair it. Sometimes it's because the individual has helped or provided excess information for the race, or has been extremely cooperative, so they've gone, okay, let's see if we can fix you up. They won't bother asking. They won't ask for anything in return. So I mean, that's ultimately what you're looking at there. And then, of course, you can always go with the Talons, who they just want to find out how much damage they can enter the human body can take.
Right. Okay, Keith, let's continue on here. R Keith Andrews in the ET Connection. Continuing on, let us go over to Pocket Reality, who is asking, are there any extraterrestrials that fly through space in living craft, like the 90s TV show Lex or similar?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are some that fly through space because they are the size of craft. Like the Archon, for instance. The Archons start off as a microscopic organism. And then as they get larger, they get cast into outer space and become and become a literally planet-sized entity. Okay, they simply travel through space. They can't fit on Earth anymore. The Caboran are planets. Okay, and of course, when you take a look at, believe it's the Zeron, that literally they're by human standards, they're robotic in nature. So I mean, and of course, when we look at the Corlock, if you watch Space 19, or not Space 1999, the 2001 Space Odyssey, that ship is a Corlock ship. Okay, but that ship is also one ship humans will never set foot on.
How come?
Well, because the Corlock are shapeshifters, and the ship is literally built to be run by the Corlock biomagnetic field. It is the Corlock themselves that create the circuit jumpers. Net result, they run the ship off of bioenergy. Humans don't do that well, as in change shape to fit inside a span of a half an inch.
Right.
Can't imagine what the problem would be there.
No idea. No idea what that. No idea. All right, Keith, let's continue on here. Let's go over to Dark Starry Sky. They say if you see a craft, you've likely been abducted and you are seeing it leave. I saw the craft, but I'm sure no missing time. What's your thoughts, Keith?
Well, number one, I've heard the theory before, and everything I know of it, there are so many people that see craft that have nothing to do and no encounter with people. Quite frankly, it's essentially, if I were to put it that way, I'd call it a myth. Most people that see craft have nothing to do. If you're just seeing, like, for instance, a spot in the sky, that sort of thing, odds are no. Okay. But if you're literally one of these people that has had the, shall we say, pleasure of seeing a ship, of knowing you've seen a ship up close, the odds are pretty good you were taken. It's not a guarantee, but the odds are stacked in favor.
All right. Here's another one for you, Keith, from Super Crazy. Do you think any ETs or humans will be going to prison for their abduction activities?
Excessively improbable. And the reason for that is most abduction activities are, first of all, authorized, and most people that break the authorization and do it of their own accord end up dead. So there's no point in putting them in prison. In Star Trek, they say, we're going to drop you off at the nearest star base. In reality, they go, we're going to drop you off on the nearest star. Which, by the way, is a whole lot worse than being dropped off on a planet.
I can see that. I mean, when aliens take you, is it a mission for them, or is it something else? Like, does their commander sit there and say, hey, I want an hour worked on R Keith Andrews this week. It's been 3 months since we worked on him. How does that work? How do they choose when to come?
Okay, there are three ways that it can happen. One, they'll pick a specific person, and as you just suggested, it's been a while since we've had him up there. Pick him up, pick up the data, the bio data, and let's do an analysis and see what's going on. Much like humans when they go and track down a tiger that they've tagged. Okay, they'll go and take more samples, find out how the person's evolved. But these guys are looking for stuff on a subquantum level. Then you've got the ones where it's just a blanket statement. Okay, you research people, you collectors, we require 15,000 abductees from the human race. Go get to work. Okay, and they'll start picking people off just as a wide sample. And then you got people like the Talon that go, we haven't stretched a human in a while. Let's go get one. Those are the ones you really don't want to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But those are your three most common. Now, and you're a direct victim of the fourth kind. Okay, where somebody, in your case, it'd be Carl going, I haven't seen Dave for a while. I'm going to pick him up. I'll deal with the consequences afterwards. Carl is an anomaly amongst the Zeta Reticulans, but he is a lot of fun.
That he is. Yes, that he is. All right, Keith, let's go over to Slick Sticks here. How would you describe the veil between our reality and theirs?
Non-existent. Sorry. I know that was pretty vague, but the reality of it is we don't see them because we're taught that you're not allowed to, or that it's not possible. The veil itself between the off-worlders and here is a matter of accepted perception. If you believe that you are not going to be able to see them, you won't. If you believe, I only believe what I see, then you get the fun of trying to explain how gravity holds you in place. But there is no difference between the off-worlders and here. Okay. It's just a question of they've got technology to hide things that mankind can't hold a candle to. But the veil itself is not a big issue.
For people who may not understand what the veil is, maybe explain that to them.
Ultimately, there is a veil, but it's not between the off-worlders and Terra. Terra being Earth. There is a veil, a very thin veil, between the corporeal world and the non-corporeal, as in ghosts, spirits, and as I recently was able to corroborate with the daemon. They don't live in this same kind of rules, if you will. They're still third dimension, but the veil is simply a separator that as you pass through it, you shift out of sync with the physical world. Net result, you can pass between the molecules of a physical entity. Because basic Terran physics will tell you solid matter is not in fact solid. There's a lot of space between the molecules. And all that happens once you pass through the veil is you get shifted around, so you can now pass between the solid molecules.
Okay.
Yeah, some people can learn to do that themselves.
How do we learn to do it ourselves?
A lot of work, and you got to get past the idea of it is possible. In my case, I've only done it a few times, and usually when there's been a serious reason for it. Okay, but it boils down to accepting the fact you control the molecules in your body, and you can shift them. Just do not make the mistake of thinking that makes you immune from damage if you don't get it right. The Manhattan Project was a prime example of how you can do it. Increase the magnetic flow around you, and all of a sudden, when you do that.
Yes, R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection, which continues with hour number 2 next on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. We will take more of your questions when we return. All right. Hi, R Keith. R Keith Hansen. R Keith Andrews. All right, Keith, I'm going to put you in the green room. We're going to take about a 5-minute break here, okay? Be right back, everybody. Be right back. Kira, you'll be happy to know I went to the gym for the first time today. Yeah. I am back.
You are.
Bringing in R Keith. How you doing, buddy?
I'm not bad. How about you? Forgot I had something I wanted to show you guys. I've had it for a while. It's just been in hiding.
Give me a quick second here. Thank you to Louis T-Bone ×2 Andrew and T2E for the great super chats. Super Knower, how you doing? Tokeland, nice to see you. Hi, sweet Robbie G. Woo Train, thanks for joining us. Remember to keep your questions in capital letters here. And let's go with hour number 2, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Tractor. Tractor is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio, Instagram @Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection that happens at the beginning of each month here on the show, and we're glad to talk all things extraterrestrial. Keith, welcome back, my friend.
And thank you so much for having me. And really thanks to everybody that's still hanging around or have just joined us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a ton of audience questions here for you. Rocking and rolling on those. Let's get to super crazy. Has any human ever successfully punched their way out of an abduction?
Oddly enough, yes. Both physically and psychically. It can be done. It isn't often successful, but it can be done. I remember one case where the guy got so ballistic that they threw him off the ship. Well, I shouldn't say threw him. They did put him back, but
It
can be done, just not often.
They feel like rubber when you hit them.
Some of them, yeah. Others feel like concrete. Like, never hit a Vulcan. That's just a bad idea. They are not green-blooded, pointy-eared goblins. But no, when you're dealing with the Zeta Reticulans, they do kind of feel rubbery. They're not. They're definitively not rubbery, but I can understand the relevant, in comparison.
Yeah, you don't like that rubbery feeling. Don't like that. Never feels very
understandable.
Good. All right, let's move on to another one, my friend. Let us go over to, let's see, who's next? Millennium. What are some of your favorite ancient races? Which one is your least favorite?
Ancient races?
Ancient races.
The ancient races are ones that evolved on Earth. The off-worlders are ones from off the planet. When we're looking at the ancient races, I do like the elephant, and I do find the dwarven race rather a little shall we say brusque, but not bad at all. That being said, personally, I like the Arboreans. Now, when we're dealing with the off-worlders, the Thrazazians are definitely some of my closer confidants, or the Zerziks. The Zerziks are the only race that actually came from that actually survived the last transition from the last reality to this one, what you would call the Big Bang.
I get you. Okay. So let me go over to Boo the Beagle. Boo the Beagle is asking, sorry, for some reason, my program here is a little sticky tonight. Let's go. Where is it here? Keith, if I wake up with aliens in the room, what is a respectful greeting to think at them?
I like hi. Or you can always pull one out of the, just a polite greeting, the same as you would use on Earth, in, if you will, polite society. I will tell you, what the F do you want isn't a polite way to greet them. But just simply smiling, even if, in your mind, if you can relax, put a smile in your heart and just say greetings or hi, something that's a fact. It's a good start. Because most of them do understand that kind of a thought. They don't get a lot of English language, of Terran linguistics, but they do get the emotional impact behind them.
Marty wants to know, what's the password for? Exactly. That's your answer. Exactly. What's the password for? Exactly, Marty. You'll have to hit up Joe in the chat room. He'll understand that. All right, let's go to Velvet Tengelo. Are there alien races that watch TV? Like Space Golden Girls or something?
I just love some of the questions we get, Dave.
Oh, gosh. It's amazing. Just amazing. I love it.
The short answer is yes. They do have their own version of sitcoms. There are some races.
You got to give us more than that, man.
Well, if you take a look at some of the races, many, especially if we take a look at the Mobians, they certainly have a version of it, but they're much more, if you will, intellectually evolved. Now, of course, when you take people like Radio Command, which, by the way, is actually a component of the consortium, those people are usually staring at different TV, different news channels. Of course, they find the news, especially news on Earth, absolutely hilarious. They will watch what's going on Earth, and some of the ideas that people have come up with. When they come up with, oh, we're in for an alien invasion, and these guys are sitting out there watching these, going, "Oh, you've got to be kidding again!" Of course, I was there one day, and I'm sitting there, and it's like, why is it we're always the last ones to know that the humans are getting invaded by us? I mean, what's up with our government that they're not telling us we're in the middle of an invasion? And the jokes go back and forth. But unlike with Terran TV, much of the off-world TV is literally interactive. You'll get something on the set, and somebody will run into the middle of a filming. Okay, especially with some of the smaller races, they can be hilarious the way they'll do it and disrupt things, and they do it just because they can.
That is very true. Very true. The thoughtful, spicy words of R Keith Andrews tonight on Spaced Out Radio. As we continue on, let's go to Super Crazy here, who is asking, were humans created by ETs seeding Earth?
No. Humans were actually created by the Alpha race, which was the first race that was built for Earth. And humans were built, quite literally, were built for war. They were built because of a conflict, and they needed people. Okay. Well, humans are very easy to build, to repair, and very easy to replicate. In case you hadn't noticed, as far as breeding goes, humans reproduce like rabbits.
Really? Never knew.
But no, we are not a seed pod. When the plant, when what you know as Earth was originally put together, it was put together with the idea of providing a planet where spirits could take on a corporeal form and experience the third dimension with limited senses. Limited being sight, taste, touch, hearing, and smell. Okay, with a rudimentary sixth.
Okay. Let's go to Super Crazy again. Is there any connection between ETs and dinosaurs or their extinction on Earth?
Their extinction, no, that was a pretty solid impact. But as far as the dinosaurs go, some of the dinosaurs evolved into ancient races. Like, for instance, the Chitauri centered in Africa they evolved at the same time the dinosaurs did. Okay, they're also, as far as I'm aware, the only reptilian race that actually has 4 fingers and a thumb. The rest of them all have 3 fingers. But they had absolutely nothing to do with the destruction of the dinosaurs.
Dark Starry Sky would like to know, what do aliens think of human connection and bonds?
Necessary. Ultimately, it boils down to it's another species, and it's their way of procreating. What they don't understand is why so many humans tolerate being beaten on by their supposed paramour. In most races, you do that and you're just as good as dead, because usually the paramour will actually kill you.
What is a paramour?
Girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, bedmate. There's a lot of different terms for it.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
R
Keith Andrews, ET Connection. Continuing here, let us go over to Biofuel Brad. I have actually seen cell phone video of a small 4-inch DIAA light blue orb enter a room through a solid wall, pass in front of the camera before entering an individual's body. Is this little grays?
I'm not sure what DIAA is.
Me either.
Okay. That being said, grays don't travel as little blue orbs. On the other hand, Vorosic do. And Vorosic are the most likely orb of that description that would enter, but it would be kind of like hitchhiking. They don't go in to take over a host. But the young Vorosic and the small orb would indicate that. Would more than likely, shall we say, what is it called? When you get on board, a stowaway. There you go. A young Vorosic is quite well known to stow away on another body just to experience what it's like.
All right. Let's get to some more questions here from our audience. Let's go over to Candy. And the reason for the veil is what, Keith?
Because the human mind literally has reduced itself to the point it won't handle the true view of it. So the veil was put there to separate and to protect the human neural net from complete collapse. Because the massive majority of humans are still of the idea, and it's an oxymoron, really. We only believe it if we can see it. And yet, humans believe in gravity. Okay, they believe in a lot of things you can't see. And the reality is, most people that get hit by a car from behind never see it coming, right? And yet they believe it, and yet they'll tell you, I don't believe it if I don't see it. And there's a lot of dead people who didn't believe it, that live by that. But it literally boils down to the human brain has been deprogrammed by humans based on fear that you cannot see ghosts. If you see a ghost, you're going to die, it's coming to kill you, etc., etc. And realistically, ghosts don't want to kill you. Most of them. There are some that are an exception. But that's why the veil is there.
Okay. Let's go to Wu Train. R Keith Andrews repping and setting the bar high. Pork chop sideburns. Yeah, buddy. Right on. I think that's more of a compliment than a question. We'll take it. Let's go to Castle Dude.
Thank you very much for that.
Earlier, I had an intuitive message about Olmec. What could this mean? I don't know what Olmec is, Keith. I apologize.
That's okay. I'll forgive you. Okay, what he's referring to there, Olmec. I'm hoping there's some sort of context that went with it, or if it was just those two words. Okay, then you're literally listening to an invitation by the Moldakian and by the Moldakian Emirates. Okay, and it literally means "come one, come all."
Okay.
Okay, but it is not an invitation for an invasion anymore. Used to be, because they are a very warlike race. But they ran into a few hiccups that on Earth they found out that's a bad idea.
Dark Starry Sky is asking, Keith, there are those who believe the aliens are interested in our souls. If you have one, what's your thoughts?
Well, there are those that believe Earth is flat. Aliens have no more interest in the human soul. You know, they have no more functional interest in the human soul on the whole than they do in inhabiting a human body. You know, if you think about it, people that own a Maserati are not that interested in buying a Cessna. Okay, because it operates on a whole different platform. It's the same as people that are used to driving a semi don't really have a use for a pickup. So I wouldn't put a lot of weight. There are a couple of races where, yeah, they're interested in your soul, but not because they're trying to possess it. Okay, that is literally a religious fear base. The ones that are interested in your soul are simply hungry. It's that simple. Pretty cold, pretty callous, but that's the way it boils out. But it's kind of like a carjacker that yanks a driver out of the car and leaves the car behind and kills the driver. They're not interested in the car. They just took the car because it was available and it had the soul in it.
Right. Okay. Let's go over to, I apologize, my system's a little slow here. Let's go over to Sierra. Are the Greys that are doing the abductions actually humans?
No. As near as I've been able to piece together from a metabolic standpoint, they're closer to a sort of combination, not a hybrid, a combination of reptilian physiognomy and insectivorous. They are not simian, which is what humans are.
Okay. I guess that one tells it like it is, right?
Well, I don't know how to draw that one out much further.
Go to Destiny. What are some of the signs that can identify that you may have been abducted unknowingly?
The
Great
easiest
question.
one is, yeah, that is. And it's one that so few people are actually willing to ask. So thank you for that. Number one is missing time, or missing time is a good indication. If you're not wearing the same clothes, or you're not wearing the same clothes in the pattern you were wearing them, for instance, your shirt is on backwards, okay, or your undershorts are on the outside of your pants, okay, these are indications that you may well have been abducted, okay, as well as there's always that neat little issue of unrecognized marks, marks, scars, that sort of thing, or sometimes if you've got pains that you cannot explain. Okay. Again, now these are indications you may have been abducted. That's why I say it's a great way to put it. It does not guarantee you were.
Very true. Very true. You know, what about okay, let me see how I can put this.
I
Okay,
prefer English.
for me, I don't get a lot of marks. Okay.
Right.
I know when I'm gone, it's when I feel that gravitational pull.
Right.
Okay, so does everybody then have a different trigger?
I wouldn't say everybody does, but there are definitely categories of them. Okay. Some people will experience severe vertigo, and it'll just seem like it's fleeting. And then when they reset, when their mind resets, something in the room is different. Maybe they were, for instance, sitting at the dining room table, and the next thing when the vertigo fades, they're sitting on the chair in the living room. Okay, vertigo is just one of those things that can happen by quite literally matter of relocation. Okay, what you feel is usually, in all probability, a essentially tractor beam pickup.
Yes, that I understand. And trust me when I say it's a weird feeling because they don't really give you an opportunity to say no.
No, it does cut down on the stress of, oh, I'm being abducted.
Right?
It's just, there you are.
It's just there it is. Hey, guess what? It's your time of the night again. You know? And they just I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, you don't have to like it. They don't care. But it's just the way it is, right, Keith?
Pretty much. And for me it took a while, but eventually it's like, oh, here we go again.
Yes. That part, I know what you're feeling. I totally know what you're feeling on that one.
The funny part there, Dave, is I remember a time when you couldn't relate to that at all.
I know. It's kind of sad, isn't it?
And the instant went the way of the dodo bird.
Very true. We have R Keith Andrews for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your love tonight. Let's make it happen, shall we? Spaced Out Radio continues with your questions right after this. Stay tuned. More R Keith Andrews coming right up. All right. Keith, I'm just going to try something here because my program is really slow. It's not going to end it, but I'm just going to refresh it.
Okay.
See if that does any better. Oh, yeah, much better. Holy cow. My screen was getting so bloody slow. Jerry Carter, how you doing? Good to see you. Robert, nice to have you here.
By the way, Dave, I've noticed a couple of things in the chat room. We really need to remind people the capital, all caps, works if they want to question scene.
Yeah. We're working on it, man. We're working on it. Give it some time, my brother. Give it some time. Show us the love, everybody. Make sure you hit subscribe, ring that bell. Some people can't because of the system they're using. So it's one of those things to be conscious of. R Keith Andrews showing everybody the love tonight. That man's got more love than he does sideburn hair. Mike Arrington, how you doing? I got to be up early tomorrow, Keith.
Oh, joyful.
Yeah.
I probably will be.
I write my hunter's course this weekend. Well, actually, my gun course this weekend. So.
Oh, nice. I take it you're going up hunting to get something?
Well, yeah, I'm going to be doing a little bit of hunting this year.
So I got to ask, what are you going after? Well, I don't have to ask, but I'm nosy.
Kira, what is early? Well, it's not hockey practice, travel, or anything that I like to do. So what I am going to tell you is that I got to be up for like 7. 7, Kira, 7. You know what? Kira just rolled her eyes. I totally felt that. Totally felt that, Kira. Totally felt that.
I'm sort of sitting there going 7 o'clock. Last time I got up at 7 o'clock, I didn't get to bed until 5. Yeah.
I know. I know the feeling. Dark Starry Sky, I'm actually taking my pal this weekend. Kira's like, that's sleeping in for me. Of course it is. Of course it is. I have perfected my life that there are only what was I going to say? 4 reasons to get up before 7 o'clock in the morning. Travel, hunting or fishing, hockey practice, or making sweet love. That's it.
Well, I will add a 5th one that came into my life early. When my house was on fire, we got up at 3.
Well, fire is a
it's a good reason.
Willard, I haven't got to your questions yet. So there's a big lineup ahead of you that I have put in there. So don't worry, man. We'll get to your questions. I've got them all saved. Thank you tonight. T-Bone with a hat trick. T2E, Kira, Louie, and Trucker Andrew. Very much appreciate the love.
Yeah, I noticed somebody in the chat room there wasn't asking. Well, he did ask a question, but I forget who it was. But the answer is yes. Well, I forgot that we were on the air there. That was medication for my back. Quite literally, it was just acetaminophen, but that was because of the fact I've had my back out for the last week.
Gout?
No, tension. Just I was talking to you very briefly about that before the show.
Gotcha. Here we go, the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We continue on with our main man, R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection. Right here on the show, we're answering all kinds of awesome questions from our audience about ET connections. All right, let's go back to the drawing board here, Keith. Castle Dude wants to know, what planet closely resembles Earth? If we teleported there, would we be able to tell?
Number one, Mobius. Mobius is in literally the exact same orbit as Earth, set on at a 180 degree angle on the other side of the sun. So from Earth, you will never see it. Okay, like there's no way you can. If you were to end up there, aside from the actual configuration of the continents, the flora, the fauna is all very similar. Okay, could you pass for a Mobian? Certainly, as long as everybody around you was brain dead, because they are fully communal telepaths. Okay, but the Mobians colonized Mobius from Earth 50,000 years ago.
Well, isn't that nice? And how was it for them?
Actually, it was great, because 50,000 years ago they colonized Mobius, and then 40,000 years ago the Lemurian race, the Lemurian Empire, collapsed due to a cataclysmic curiosity. In a nutshell, and we never did know. We didn't know if it was a child, an adult, a male, female, didn't matter. Somebody came up with the idea of, gee, I wonder what would happen if we all shut our hearts off at the same time, our physical hearts off at the same time. Really bad idea. Nobody thought it through. And 5 billion people died like that. Okay, in a matter of a year, we went from 10 billion to about 10,000 people left. And those people ended up being scattered around the world and meshed in with people like your Mayans, your Aztecs, and some of the more secluded communities. Not the least of which would be the Australian Aboriginals. But if you end up on Mobius, you won't have a problem with it at all.
Okay, stay away from the Mobians.
Oh, they're perfectly nice people.
All right, go to the Mobians, share a beer with them. Okay.
Well, think of it this way: no war, no greed, no famine, and no prejudice. Kind of a nice place to take a vacation when you think about it.
All right, let's move on, Keith. Let's go to Willard. Races and enemy races are actually real in other realities, Keith?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, humans are aliens to other races. You got to remember, an alien is simply somebody that wasn't born in your area. So when a human goes to another planet, i.e., when a human goes to Sirius 5, or it goes to Sol 4, well, if it goes to Sol 4, it's here. But if you go to Sol 5, or for that matter, if you go to Vulcan, humans won't live there. But you're an alien. If you're not from that planet, you're alien. Okay. And yes, there are races that have humans caught up that they will pick up and never bring back. And they will put them in what would amount to a zoo. Now, I realize humans don't like being told that they're part of a zoo display. But then tigers aren't overly impressed with it on Earth.
True. Again, see where a tiger would be happy with that. All right, let's go to another question. Trisha wants to know, how close was Gene Roddenberry in the creations of the off-worlders that we see in his series?
Some of them dangerously close. Like, for instance, if you take a look at the Gorn. Now, we got to take a look at the Gorn and realize the makeup was terrible. But the configuration was very good. Okay. When you take a look at the Romulans, and for that matter, the Klingons, absolutely bang on. They weren't called Romulans and Klingons, and those are some of the races being added. But what you know is the Tellarite, the Orions, they got right down to a fine art. He couldn't have done a better job with the Orions, I don't think. And like I said, the Econ, or what you know is the Tribbles. How he came up with the information, that I can't tell you. But I can tell you that many of those races are actually based on reality.
Boss Monster letting us all know in the chat room that he's wearing his SOR banana hammock. Thank you. Very much appreciate that. It's a good way to support your support for what we do. Continuing on here, let's go to Woo Train. R Keith Andrews. Why did some of the alien races break the agreement with the United States on abducting humans for study purposes? Then they didn't return some humans and took too many?
Well, number one, there was no agreement for that side of it, but they weren't the ones that broke the contracts. The contracts that were broken were made on the idea of, okay, we will give you, the humans, some healing techniques and some healing modalities, and we will give you a little bit of baseline communication technology. But you are never to try and number one, it's to go to the people. And the humans went, yeah, absolutely, we'll use it to heal our people. The humans withheld the healing, the medications, and much of the other technology. None of it was war-based. Okay, where it came to the abductions, that had nothing to do with the contract with the humans. Okay, because the aliens were coming to collect them anyway. It's kind of like, in their eyes, let's make a contract with the local flora, with the local fauna, to abduct a dolphin. Because we're going to abduct a dolphin, take samples, and put a tag and send him back. There was no agreement to that point. Okay. And one of the other ones are, you don't ask a lower life form, if you will, if it's okay if you collect up some of their people and have dinner. Humans are a cold group. They really are a little self-serving. But as far as I've ever been aware, no contract was ever made for shipping people off planet and not bringing them back.
That contradicts, and I'm not saying you're wrong, that contradicts what many people believe happened in the Eisenhower presidency.
I won't argue in that part of it at all. The fact that it contradicts, I won't argue at all.
Yeah.
Hence the qualifier as far as I've ever been aware.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Your knowledge is your knowledge. And all we want to believe is that the conspiracy of the Eisenhower information is very much a, how can we put it? A conspiracy theory.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's
And I
move
mean,
on to Willard. Is the veil what they say? Is the veil like what they say in the Vampire Show originals or Vampire Diary?
trying to think here, because the veil itself, and see, there's two veils that I'm aware of. One is a physical one between the here and the hereafter. In other words, between life and death. The other one is a veil that some races and the Sangina are very capable of putting a veil of awareness over your eyes so you can't see them. Or they simply move so fast they vanish. Okay, but I believe in the only one that I know of, as far as the physical veil, and I forget which show it was. It showed them showed vampires living on the other side of a painting, and that I believe was more of a Hollywood thing than anything else. But to be fair, I've never actually read, or for that matter, watched the Vampire Diaries.
Super Crazy wants to know, do ETs use ray guns or guns of any kind?
Oh yeah, some of them absolutely do. But they don't bother with small caliber. And they will use them if they're using a gun to kill. And some races have to because they still need to eat. Right, but they will use a gun that will kill now, not one that, let's use 15 bullets to try and kill it. I mean, there are exceptions. You take a big gun, you take a much bigger predator, and let's face it, you're going to have to take more than one shot.
Yes.
But,
Okay,
that neat little concept of overkill is something humans came up with. The other races don't understand it.
let's go to Dark Starry Sky. Keith, do you know if there are people abducted, taken off planet, and not returned? If so, why?
Absolutely. For I can think of 3 different reasons. One would be dinner, as in they're just simply taken and eaten. 2 would be literally to put into what amounts to a zoo or into a private collection or maybe as a pet. Some humans have monkeys as pets. Some aliens have people. Same idea, just humans don't like being the monkey. And then the third one is once in a blue moon, you'll get a human that goes, I want off the world. Can I go for, can you get me out of here? And they sometimes, as like I said, once in a blue moon, that somebody will luck out and get that. Usually it's somebody that doesn't have anybody left on the planet.
Okay. Go to the Doug Shelby. Hi there, R Keith. Any idea what is supposed to be special about the year 2027?
Not right offhand, but I will look into it. Because I will tell you this, if anybody's thinking that's the year that all of a sudden the aliens are going to reveal themselves, don't hold your breath. But I have written it down on my research. Like I do my own way of research to see if something is correlating there. But that I'm not aware of at this point, not right offhand.
Anything brewing?
I'm thinking there may be, but I'm going to delay this one on a really weird note. Okay. In March when we come back, I'm going to have a note on my calendar anyway, and give you an answer to that. I will do some poking around and see if there's something coming up that I'm not aware of yet.
Very excellent. Okay, Keith, let's continue on. And okay, that's Doug. Shall we? Let's go to Super Crazy. Do humans have a chance at successfully fending off an alien invasion?
No. In today's people, you got to understand, if there were, and there won't be, but if there were going to be an alien invasion, mankind's war would be over before mankind ever even knew it was starting. Because the first thing that would happen is from about the orbit of Mars, they would cut loose with a subquantum biomagnetic pulse, essentially an EMP pulse that not only wipes out all electronics, but wipes out all electronic components that have already been built. Then they would move into the orbit of our moon. And depending on their purpose of invasion, they would either bombard it with our own satellites and space debris, and just knock them out of orbit and drop it on you, or they would land. And if they land, the fight's over. Mankind hasn't got a snowball's prayer of surviving an actual alien or ancient race invasion.
You take the fun out of it, Keith. You take the fun out of it.
I know, but watch the movies because they're a lot of fun.
Let's go to Castle Dude, who is asking point blank. Where is it here? Oh, sorry, Castle Dude. Do aliens wear SOR swag? If they don't, they really ought to. That's right. Get that swag, aliens.
The best I can tell you is I have no doubt that some of them do. But then I know for an absolute certainty, because I've been saying this for quite literally almost a decade, they have been watching SOR. They've watched a few shows, but they've definitely been watching SOR on a stable basis. So, given the fact, now here's the kicker. Have they ever turned around and bought, I wouldn't hold my breath. Well, it's not like they have human money.
That's what they are, a bunch of bastards. All right, Keith. Let's go to Philip Blair, who is asking, do the Mobius people ever visit Earth, and why or why not?
Why? Call it a trip back in history. It's like we go off to a ghost town to take a look at or to a what the heck is it called? The Mennonites, I think, or people of that ilk, where people in the advanced worlds, in the advanced civilizations, will go to these back area farming communities just to see what it's like. Mobians come here, to see what their ancestors lived like.
Well, that's nice.
For them, it's just an outing.
Little history lesson there.
Essentially, yes. That's the other reason the Martokians come here, is for history.
You got that right. All right, let's go over to Willard. Keith, is the show Stargate Atlantis based on an actual alien races?
Yes. Some modifications to them, but now I'm trying to remember what the name of the white-haired race is in Stargate. But that race is based on the Singinan. And the Singinan are literally bloodsuckers. They will absorb your life force. And the Stargate is a very real piece of technology. Okay. And frankly, I'm pretty certain that the government already has, that the existing governments of this world already have access to at least one, although I'd lay odds they haven't figured out how to use it.
From what I'm hearing, you were correct on that, but they do know how to use it.
Oh, okay. That wouldn't be an entire shock.
Yeah, that's from my sources. They call them jump rooms.
Which would make total sense.
Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Would like to know, Keith, if ET follows social media.
Absolutely. It's kind of like a sitcom for them. In all fairness, it's kind of like a sitcom for many of us.
Very true. I can see where you're going with that. I'm feeling it. Totally feeling it. That's got some good woo to it. Because we like good woo around here, man. Let's go over to Castle Dude. Would humanity's most powerful weapon, the wedgie, work on aliens?
That depends on the alien and the clothing. Some of them, you do something like that, and you might just get a different reaction than a complaint. But you get to take that where your mind's going to go.
I don't think there's anything, and this is just my opinion. I don't think there's anything on this planet that could really put a dent in any sort of alien craft if it got violent.
No.
I just don't see it.
Not given what they're utilizing. I mean, you take a look at their main ship. Okay, now this will give you an idea of the firepower these guys pack. Their main gun, you take the HMS Titanic, turn it broadside and shove it down the barrel of their main gun. And they can still turn, and they've still got room to maneuver.
Right?
Try and slow that kind of firepower down.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You also got to remember, these guys, their hull will take the impact of a small meteorite without doing so much as scuffing the surface.
All right. I love this question from Camilla. Camilla, brand new listener here. Camilla Frey, welcome to SOR chat. I think Betty White, RIP, would have made one of the best human ambassadors for our first official contact. I agree with you. Betty White was also born on my daughter's birthday. My daughter, January 17th. Who would you put on your list of ideal human ambassadors, Keith?
I honestly have no functional idea. I do agree with her. Betty White would have been a hoot to watch. But I really don't know much about humans as far as who would who would be open-minded enough to deal with them.
Right.
Now, I'd love to give you an answer, but I just don't know who would be actually, because most of the people that are well known are so caught up in the fame and what have you, and that is the last thing that they need for an ambassador.
Very true. Keith, we got about 45 seconds here. Quick question from Vanessa, last question of the night. What do you think about all of these folks that are claiming to be able to remote view?
I'd lay odds about 10% of them are actually accurate, like actually capable. The rest are great at exploratory investigation. Extrapolatory, sorry. Okay, most of them simply will feed off information that they gather either by talking to somebody or by generalized guesswork and then narrowing it down. There are some remote viewers, not many. And most of the ones that are qualified, it's not an exact science anymore. It's not like, oh, you can remote view it at will.
On that note, R Keith Andrews, we're going to say goodbye to you until the month of March. Thank you for coming on in. Coming up next.
Thank you so much for having me again there, Dave.
Always, buddy. Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. Then Terry Hall filling in for Courtney Marcassani on the UFO Report. All right, R. Thanks, buddy.
Not a problem. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you got everything settled for Reno, my man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, there's the mustache. Terry Hall hanging out in the background. His hair's looking high and tight, people. High and tight Terry is what they call him. We'll bring him in momentarily. Keith, we're going to say goodnight to you. And I'll be right back, everybody. Forrest Louie, I didn't see your question tonight. right. I got to bring Terry Hall in here early because that mustache is just way too gorgeous. Look at that lip blade, everybody.
I'm avoiding eye contact. The
Why?
sign says it's a Bigfoot breeding area to avoid eye contact. So, you know.
Oh, hey, buddy. How are you?
How you been?
Good. How's the mustache?
A mustache. It's kind of spread out a little bit, but it's a mustache.
Mm-hmm. I know the feeling.
Yeah, man. Looking tight.
It is tight right now. Very tight.
So what's been going on in the world of woo?
We got some interesting stuff happening here. My resident troll was after me again, which is always cool. I like it when my resident troll is active. You know.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to see if the gremlins are still wandering around the property. We're going to start digging again pretty soon. So we're going to find out. See if we can get a few more scars on the old spaced out mug.
Nice. Nice. Where did I get that Sasquatch doll? That was a present from Kira. She gave it to me last year in Las Vegas. Here we go, everybody. 4 seconds.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us, wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Daboya. Daboya is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, that time of the night, say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and another spooky story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Now, the legend of the Phantom Stagecoach is a mysterious and chilling tale that echoes through the breathtaking canyons of Zion National Park in Utah. This spectral story has been passed down through generations, captivating the imaginations of locals and visitors alike who traverse the park's rugged terrain. As the sun dips down below the towering sandstone cliffs, casting long shadows across the red rock landscape, the stage is set for the haunting tale to unfold. According to legend, in the late 19th century, a stagecoach carrying a group of weary travelers embarked on a treacherous journey through the wilds of Zion. Unaware of the looming danger, the passengers marveled at the otherworldly beauty of the canyons surrounding them. As the stagecoach rumbled along the dusty trail, the driver urged the horses forward, pushing them to their limits to reach the safety of the next outpost before nightfall. Little did they know that their path would take them through a desolate and eerie canyon stretch where the walls seemed to close in, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. Legend has it that the stagecoach suddenly stopped in the shadow of the tearing cliffs. Spooked by an unseen force, the horses neighed in terror, their eyes wide with fear. The passengers exchanged nervous glances, their senses on high alert. Then, a ghostly figure materialized before them, the phantom stagecoach. The apparition, shrouded in a misty glow, seemed frozen in time. The passengers, paralyzed with fear, watched in awe as the ghostly stagecoach and its spectral horses stood before them. The air became thick with an unnatural silence, broken only by the faint whispers of the wind through the canyon. As the legend goes, the phantom stagecoach appears only when the sun sets over at Zion National Park, and those who witness its ghostly presence are said to be marked by an otherworldly connection to the spirit realm. Some claim to hear the faint echoes of laughter and conversation from the ghostly passengers, while others speak of a haunting feeling that lingers long after the apparition disappears into the shadows. Over the years, many have tried to unravel the mystery of the phantom stagecoach. Still, the legend endures, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the already enchanting landscape of Zion National Park. Whether a product of the imagination or a glimpse into the past, the tale of the phantom stagecoach continues to capture the hearts and minds of those who venture into the canyons, creating a spectral aura that lingers in the air long after the sun has set and the moon has risen.
Thank you, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing, for another great spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to youtube.com/Among the Missing. Go hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in Terry Hall for the UFO report. He's filling in for Courtney Marcassani tonight.
Nobody's going to know. They're going to know.
Some of the big stories happening, Terry, around the UFO world. I got tipped off to a little bit of a breaking story here that we're going to get into here. And before we do that, though, I want to say hello. How are you? It's been a while since we had you on the show.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hey, Dave, did you know that if you go to SOR.com, get some of Dave's merch to wear to bed, that you are now a part of the VIP program with alien abductions?
Really? This is
Well, yeah.
news?
Moody Mongo says wearing SOR merch to bed is like a VIP ticket during an alien abduction. You get a 4-course meal, Michelin star, by the way, a
very
full
nice.
mini bar in your room, and they drop you back safely. So, before you go to bed, make sure that you're dressed out in your SOR garb so you get the 4-star treatment.
Love it. Love it. And we do not have ugly swag, Terry. No ugly swag.
Absolutely not. I mean, check out the purple. Check out the purple.
Check out that purple. Look at that purple.
You know,
All
Dave,
right.
have you ever let anybody know where the colors from your logo come from?
I haven't in a while. That's actually a good question. You know, much like what's the password for exactly? Where do the colors come from? I wanted, here's the truth of the matter. I wanted something, you know, me being Canadian, I wanted something to represent Canada without using the Canadian flag. So we developed the logo of the owl, okay, which thank you, Ben Jenkins from UFO Garage, who helped me design it. And my thought pattern behind it was this: being Canadian, being that we are in nighttime, the colors are actually of the Northern Lights. The purple and the green are colors in the Northern Lights.
I always
So,
thought that was very cool.
yeah, the owl is a bunch of things. Owls are predators of the night. People can, they're wise, they're smart, they see everything that's going on. They are agile, crafty, stealthy. People think they're aliens. That's why we went with the owl. Cool, eh?
And they're nutty enough to be out in the woods looking for Bigfoot, just like Dave. So
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. we got to get to work here, my friend.
Okay, let's go.
I want to start off with Enigma Labs. Okay, because everybody knows that we have kind of been at the forefront, one of the forefront leaders in ufology about kind of breaking down the enigma of Enigma Labs, a group that was funded by $7-8 million by Peter Thiel, who owns a company called Palantir, which has defense contracts. Also, one of the former co-creators of PayPal. Okay, him and a lady named Alice. Okay, got together. Alice started the Enigma Labs. Alice is a British citizen. I believe her grandfather is a former Prime Minister of England. But Enigma Labs, when they first came out, they were very, very, how can I put it? They came out in 2020, 2021, but they really didn't start rooting themselves in the UFO community until last year. And there was a bunch of different red flags, let's call them, that made me question their abilities and who they are. Number one was the hiring of their PR person.
Yeah.
Alejandro Rojas. Alejandro Rojas he owns the International UFO Conference down in Arizona. He is very well known and respected in the UFO community. He, at times, does not believe experiencers and thinks that the majority of experiencers are full of it. He's a fake journalist. For years, he built a reputation saying that he's a journalist. He's never worked a day in journalism in his life. Okay. He is the former PR person of the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies. He's done numerous television shows, and he takes over the PR for Enigma. Okay, well, that's a red flag right there, because if you have a major corporation who is setting up shop, you don't hire someone who has produced a resume that doesn't have the actual qualifications on it that they say they do. Okay, that's number one. That was a red flag. Nothing against Alejandro, but just let's call a spade a spade.
Right.
Number two, they were very secretive. They don't want anybody to know who's working for them, who's working with them. Everything's a secret. So if you give your information to them on your sighting, okay, you are giving it up to who? We don't know. We don't know who you're giving it to. We don't know anything. We don't know who works for them. There's only a few people on LinkedIn who actually claim to work for Enigma Labs. Okay. Their website is very contradictory. At one point, their first ever tweet that they put out basically stated that we are an independent group not looking for any type of government contracts, but we want to work with the government in regards to this phenomena. How do you work with the government without government contracts?
Well, I think for the lack of transparency to begin with, because I do know people that were approached by Enigma Labs, basically right at startup. We both do. And part of them contacting let's say a good researcher, and wanting them to onboard with Enigma Labs came with an NDA. So you're not going to be able to post on your LinkedIn that you are now an independent researcher that is collaborating with
Mhm.
said client, right? So that was part of it. Part number two, as you and I both know, that if you did onboard with Enigma Labs, that whatever you turned over to them was their property and they weren't going to share it.
Mhm.
I didn't have much of a hang up with it, if I'm working for a research lab or a research group that whatever, we get, we all collaborate together, we turn it over, we vet it, and we put it out there, right? But to turn it over and to have it just put into a vault somewhere or put in someone's private collection or maybe being used for a nefarious purpose, those were all up in the air. We didn't know. So it led to a lot of not so much mistrust, but just a lack of belief that they wanted to do this for the right reasons. There's so many of us that get
Mhm.
into this, and then things like this occur to where on the surface they look great, but as soon as things get the ball rolling, you see people in the wrong
Absolutely.
place there, right?
Lots of red flags. After they put out their first couple of tweets, Terry, which
Hmm.
included responses from myself asking legitimate questions.
Very legitimate questions,
Okay.
by the way.
Alejandro Rojas, who runs their Twitter account, shut down anybody who's allowed to respond to Enigma. They shut down any type of comment whatsoever. Okay.
Yep.
Th- This is a brand new group in ufology who is trying to buy their information because they have deep pockets. There is rumor that they are going after MUFON and that within the next decade they would love to take over all the MUFON, basically putting MUFON out of business, which I don't think is healthy because I'm a big fan of MUFON. They also um, were invited to a private NASA UFO conference
Hmm.
when they were only public within a couple of months. Why would NASA take this fledgling virgin company and bring them into a conference like that where even members of the SCU were not invited?
Right.
Okay.
Or the
That didn't
members of or the members of NASA who were invited were told what they could discuss.
exactly. So fast forward to new information today as we try and figure out what is actually going on with Alice Smith. Okay. I had somebody tip me off about their headquarters, Enigma headquarters. This is where it gets fun. Okay, Enigma headquarters is allegedly in New York City. Okay, no big deal. A lot of corporations have their headquarters in New York City, correct?
Yeah, good tax breaks. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So this person did a little sleuthing. My source did a little sleuthing. And what did they find out? They found out that there is no office for Enigma Labs. No,
It's all work from home, huh?
it's Enigma Labs headquarters is an actual condominium worth around
Oh.
1.3 to $2 million.
Hmm.
Okay. Above and it's not even an office building, it's a condominium above a falafel house in downtown New York City.
Well, at least it smells good upstairs, I guess, right?
That is true. That is true. I would actually like to eat there. Okay. But if you are a corporation that has millions in the bank, You have millions of dollars to try and spread out to buy journalists, to buy researchers and their archives, to buy other UFO groups in their archives so you could call them your own. Because remember, Enigma Labs first said they had 500,000 reports. Then it went down to 300,000. Then it went down to 120,000. Now it's down to 12,000 reports. Okay? They can't make up their mind. Okay? Because nobody is giving in to them. The scientists aren't giving in to them. Researchers like David Marler are not giving in to them. Ben Hansen did give in to them, the TV star. We know that Rich Hoffman and former fighter pilot Alex Dietrich are allegedly unpaid consultants to Enigma Labs, along with a number of others. Okay. So their head office isn't an office at all. It's actually a condominium.
It's stagecraft.
Stagecraft, exactly.
Yeah.
Their business was registered in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
Their website is registered in Tempe, Arizona, which is where Alejandro Rojas lives.
Right. So he's probably running it off his ISP and just has a different extension.
Exactly. So it's really weird how it's spread out Enigma Labs is when we don't know who's running it, where it's being run from. We know Alice Smith, the creator of Enigma, who for some reason in the latest article in New York that came out about them, wouldn't give her full name. She would only go by the letter A. When she was at the Seoul conference, she had her first name on her name tag, but she blacked out her last name. Like nobody would know who she is. Why the secrecy? People, if you have to go to a conference where you are blanking out your name, why? What is the purpose of that?
Could it be this? I happen to know a researcher that his coworkers are no problem with him working on UFOs at all. None. But he told me himself, if my name ever got associated with anything else about the paranormal and it got back, it would be I'm the tinfoil hat person. Could it be the stigma that was associated with it? Well, if you're going to put $12 million into something, I doubt that's it. Could it be that them wanting the government contracts, could that be part of it? If you're a true researcher in this, you know as well as I do, if as soon as the government, you take a penny from the government, no matter what your intentions are, how pure your intentions are, how pure your research is, it's automatically got a stigma to it. There's so many, but I think that Enigma was a grandstander, Dave. That they latched on to the very well-known names that had legitimacy automatically attached, and they thought they were going to jump in and provide good evidence that the government was going to snatch up, and they were going to get these really high dollar deals. And whether it's coming from the government or whether it's coming from a producer somewhere for a production house or a studio, there's money in this now. It's not. It's gone from a cottage industry to where true believers were supporting it to it's well beyond a cottage industry now. I think Enigma Labs, when they hit the deck running, was when things were really popping off, and they thought there was a contract in it somewhere. Well, the way they structured themselves, no one wanted to come on board with them. And now they're just kind of left holding the bag.
Well, let's continue this conversation. We have more to talk about on the UFO report. Terry Hall filling in for Courtney Marcassani tonight on Spaced Out Radio. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to get to more of the Enigma Labs and the confusion around them. And then Tim Burchett had a lot of weird things to say on the Sean Ryan podcast about disinformation agents. We'll be right back. What's happening, man?
Are we clear?
Yeah.
Had a couple. I've been watching the chat. Just so everybody knows, the Bat Cave is empty because it's going mobile. It's that time of the year again, guys. Time to get out underneath the stars, go look for stuff, get some of that good stuff. See, the thing is, Dave, and you know this about what we've been doing, is if you want to work with the government without having government contracts, you go out and get good empirical evidence that can be repeated, that can be vetted, that's, to the best of your ability, and turn it over to representatives like Representative Burchett, So that's how you work with the government without taking any government money, without having any government contracts. You're just trying to to add to the subject, to help prove what we know is real anyway. Um, I've got footage, Dave. You've seen footage. Brown Dwarf puts it out all the time. So many of your listeners have amazing things that they've recorded. Now we're going to have to get past quite a few larger barriers. It's okay to say that these things are here. Well, now comes part two of the question. How did they get here? And getting here, what did they use to get here? And what did they use to get here? What did they power it with? All the other questions are going to start to come. When those questions start to come is when the petrochemical industry gets involved, religion gets involved, everything else gets involved. But for right now, we're still trying to get the door open and let everybody know that these things are real. I still talk to people all the time. They have no clue.
I understand it. I understand it.
When that thing happened in 2017 and the big story and all, what? I get that all the time.
Right? Right. Rich Buddy, how you doing? Phase wheel? Sorry, Gary.
Oh, no, it's all right. It's just now with what's going on overseas, it's. I hope they come here pretty soon. Break up the monotony of us being just complete idiots all over the planet.
Right.
Oh.
Stevie Franchise, how you doing? Good to see you. And who else has jumped in here? I'm hungry all of a sudden. Jeremy Jones, thank you for joining us.
Are you in favor of field hearings? The 726 hearing didn't move the needle. We need to tack a different tact.
Hold on, I'm trying to find something here. Trying to find the
Lightwalkers wants to be a Canadian because it's so cold and crisp up there. If you think 40 degrees below zero and Dave's front yard is cold and crisp.
today was 8 degrees above zero.
Oh, well, it was warm then, huh?
Yeah. Hold on.
No, guys, Dave called me when we had that last cold snap, and it was like 36 degrees below zero at his house. It's like, no.
All right. I'm gonna find the clip here. Bear with me. It. Here we go, the final half hour of the UFO Report. Our good man, Terry Hall, filling in for Courtney Marcassani. Thank you for joining us. We very much appreciate it. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives. Yeah. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Terry Hall is here. UFO Report. Terry, right before the break, we were talking about Enigma Labs, some strange happenings coming in, that their head office is not really an office, but a condominium where the condos in that building go for about $1.3 to $2 million in New York City. It's above a falafel house, not an office at all.
Oh, they must have just used high-end finishes in that apartment, or who knows?
There's
Marble
a
countertops.
lot of speculation out there, Terry, that Enigma Labs could be a CIA operation.
Wouldn't surprise me any. Even Dave, even small operations nowadays are being a lot more closely monitored than they ever have before. In speaking with some of the people that we speak with on a pretty constant basis, how many times have you heard, "Oh man, my internet's all bugged up. My phone's been just being stupid. Everything, all my connections are slower." It just seems to be now that is becoming more of the norm. So with something like Project Enigma, I mean, what better way to really get in the middle of everything than start a research laboratory, to where the main objective is to gather empirical evidence to move the football down the field. I mean, that's CIA playbook 101.
Very true.
They did it I mean, look what they did to the media during the 60s and the 70s, well into the 90s and beyond. There was CIA operatives in every newsroom everywhere in the world. Now it's the pressing need, it would seem, that now they need CIA people in every research group in the world.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, too. Okay. They have to really start, or we as people have to protect our information. We're too free these days at giving out our information on Facebook, on other social media platforms like Instagram or WhatsApp. Look how many kids have got into trouble from, TikTok or other applications that have really caused a lot of mess. I hate to be that back in my day that didn't happen. Well, unfortunately, this is our reality. Okay. So one of the things that I'm learning about this is, Enigma Labs is controlling their output very, very easily while they work the background scene. It's no secret in the UFO world that they have been throwing six-figure potential contracts out to people for information, for leads. They want to have everything. Everything. And the reason why they do is they want to get it out of the system. Remember, this is a group who has people involved who does believe that ufology needs an enema. And we have to get rid of the experiencers. We have to get rid of the people like you and me, Terry, who are broadcasting shows like this. We have to get it off the internet. This issue must die.
What most people are failing to recall that back in 2017, when the first big splash of this came along, well, shortly afterwards, there were people in the industry that were openly saying that they wanted to completely kill ufology, that it needed to be overhauled, that it's broken. Well, for me, the Enigma Labs thing, I think first off, if it was a CIA gig, it would be a little bit more professional. I mean, they'd have an actual office somewhere close to the Pentagon, and there would be suits and copy machines and telephones and stagecraft. So is it a cash grab? No, I don't think so. They've already got enough cash to get a really good start. It leaves a puzzle. I mean, their name says it all. It's an enigma. What is going on? Not only with them, but there's quite a few other things going on right now to where there's been so much talk, so much I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But now that everything is coming to a head, it always seems that in those instances, the football never gets moved forward. The toothpaste always goes back in the tube. And I think that's actually what Enigma Labs was trying to do. They were
Well,
trying to gather up all the toothpaste and get as much of it back in the tube as they could.
and I think they came in bullying a little bit, and they're still doing it. We know that the SCU turned them down for getting involved. We know UAPX turned them down. Galileo Project turned them down. David Marler turned them down. Okay, we know a lot of people have turned them down.
Right.
The excuse Ben Hansen gave was that he turned them down, or no, he joined them because he didn't have anywhere else to store his information that he's found out. Really?
And we both know that's ridiculous because he knows one of the best historians on the planet, David Marler. And what's David doing?
David, who is very good friends with Alejandro Rojas, turned him down.
Yeah. Now, David's doing what a good researcher and archivist is doing. He's archiving everything, he's digitizing everything. And not only that, he's going to turn over his entire collection over to the University of Mexico in perpetuity for us to study. When I first heard of Enigma Labs, I was thinking, well, maybe that's what they're going to be doing, but that sure didn't turn out to be the case.
Representative and Congressman Tim Burchett was on with Sean Ryan on the podcast talking about UFOs.
Yeah.
They got into a very, very interesting conversation. I'm hoping we can hear this here.
You don't mind me asking, is there anybody in particular that you think is a government disinformation agent?
I'll just leave it at probably somebody you've mentioned in this conversation.
Okay.
And the problem is they don't know it. That's the key to this whole thing, because
how would they not know it?
What Tim Burchett was saying there is somewhere in ufology, Terry, there are a bunch of disinformation agents that are being played right now. And he goes on to say that it isn't one, it's many. Many people are being played in the UFO public right now. The theory is, and this is just online speculation, is that he's talking about Jeremy Corbell. Now, I've heard a couple of different podcasts today talk about this exact same thing. Okay, and seen a number of online postings where people believe that he is talking about Jeremy Corbell, who seems very extravagant in putting anything out there that, he's willing to be the how can I put this? In lieu of being the face of one of the faces of the UFO franchise, he is allegedly putting his face on the line to be the guy who gets egg on it.
He's the poster child for UFOs. He was just on Steve-O not too long ago, talking about trying to reach the younger people and inform them about this kind of stuff. He goes on already at the premise of the latest thing that he made a big deal about, the squid UFO, which had basically been shot down from 5 different angles already as it being a balloon. Experts coming on who would work with that particular system and could tell immediately, but Jeremy Corbell had to throw the addendum on at the end that it went in the water, and it was in the water for 17 minutes, and then when it then it came out of the water and it took off. He did the same thing with the sightings over the military base there at 29 Palms in Southern California?
Right.
Or yeah. Like you said, getting egg on his face all the time. That's not the kind of publicity that we need. And the problem about it is George Knapp, love him or hate him, has been doing this for decades now. And he's closely tied in with Jeremy Corbell. All the good work that George Knapp's put in now has a shadow overcast on it because he's got this raving person at times that just keeps putting out false information, and instead of coming back out and saying, being sensible about it, saying, this was presented to me, what do you think? He's making all of these supposedly concrete statements about it that almost immediately are shot down. I wouldn't, if I was George Knapp, I would really be considering maybe unhitching my horse from Jeremy Corbell's wagon until he can get his own self in check. But I don't think that Corbell is one of the only disinformation agents out there, Dave.
No.
We've been told so many times that these whistleblowers that are coming forth and these scientists that are coming forth are going through an office that is approving what they can say. So even if they're coming out with the best of intentions, they may be spilling something they think is true, but it's just not.
All right, let's continue on. I'll hear a little bit more of what Tim Burchett says here.
Because they're shown things that are false.
How would they not know it?
Because they're shown things that are false. Or they've brought people to them that are false. Or something's created. Because all they got to do is put a bug in somebody's ear, and then the government's getting another $1 billion to study some crazy project somewhere.
It's all about money.
That goes back to Enigma Labs. That could be any whistleblower that came out. He could be talking about David Grush. He could be talking about Jeremy Corbell. He could be talking about Lou Elizondo, Bob Lazar. These things that are created. Well, Jim Goodall will tell you that all of his buddies at the Skunk Works told him, whatever you can think of, we're 50 years beyond that. So 50 years beyond whatever our imagination can think up. Nope, they've already done it, been there, built it 50 years ago. Could it be setting up for a false flag? We've got quite a few people in the industry right now that are talking about it. I mean, this is getting pretty convoluted here lately. And the more that the football gets pushed forward, the more we have to be aware and just make sure we're doing our own double checking to the best of our ability. It's tough. It's tough.
Well, let's play a little bit more here.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
It does. So the disinformation agent. Well, it does and it doesn't. So a disinformation agent is there to one,
Couple
discredit
of things.
somebody.
Just get people off track, and two, to bring in more money.
So in other words, Terry, the way I look at it is to bring in more money, you need a narrative. You need a threat. Threats and fears since 9/11 have absolutely dominated USA budgets
Mm-hmm.
and military budgets all over threats and fears,
Still do, and still are, Dave.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to just, for people who may not know, obviously the United States has the highest military budget. Okay. 800. Okay. According to Google, 2022, the United States spent $877 billion on military. 2020.
That's just the programs that are in the light.
Exactly. Okay. Number 2 on that list was China at 292 billion. So 600 billion more than China. Rounding out the top 4, Russia is third at 86.4 billion. India is fourth at 81.4 billion. So between first and fourth, okay, USA at 877 and India at 80. Well, let's say Russia.
Take the next 10, Dave, and add them up, and it still won't be equal to what the United States spends.
So let's see 2023. United States in 2023 spent 816.7 billion. China 224, Russia 100, India 73, Germany 68, the UK 65, France 56, Japan 52, Saudi Arabia 45.6, South Korea 44.2.
And it still doesn't add up to what the United States spends.
That's right.
In the light. That's not the dark projects that are included. And we well know that there's at least that much money spent and lost every year in dark projects.
Right.
As well. So, yeah. The government projects are what gets dangled in front of everybody's face once they get to the point to where they're starting to get the right kind of evidence or answers. It happens all the time. And once the money starts rolling in, the same thing to happen with Bigelow and his crew. The stories that went around towards the end of all that with Bigelow and Skinwalker to begin with was they were just saying stories and making up stories to keep the paychecks rolling in. That's where the danger comes in. But
yes,
not with this, because now they're actively weaving disinformation to keep this as muddled as they can.
If you were to choose, now this is hypothetical and alleged. If you were to choose, say, your top 3 or 5, we got 2 minutes to go. Who would be your top 3 or 5 disinformation agents in ufology?
Ooh. Just on supposition. And from what they've said in Freudian slips, So in no particular order, Lou Elizondo, Tom DeLonge, Joe Rogan, David Grush.
Really?
Yeah, without, like I said, maybe unknowingly, but yes, because they've let him come forward and still not given him the ability to back up what he said.
Love it. Love it.
Right?
Yeah. I think that they have built in a number of deceitful players. Some who are open, like Stephen Greenstreet. Others who are maybe a little bit closed because they want the story so bad, like Jeremy Corbell.
It just so happens you said Green Street. Green Street was my fifth.
Yeah. So I just think that it's not that I think that people like Corbell are doing it on purpose, because I don't believe that. Okay. But I think they are doing it because they think they're getting great information.
Well,
And in the
you
end,
also have to throw TV networks in there as well, Dave. You have to throw Discovery and all the rest of those in there in that whole big boat. Because even with some of the most popular programs that are out right now, without people knowing it, you see stagecraft all the time.
yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Terry, it's that time of the night where we got to say goodnight to everybody. Big thank you for filling in for Courtney Marcassani. Another great job.
It's been great to be back.
Yes.
Hello, and it's been nice to hang out with the fam again for a change. Awesome.
You got that right. We love you around here. And Terry will hopefully have some exciting news regarding our radio stations coming up soon, because that's what the mustache does around here. Yes, he does. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with everybody, or with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright from Spaced Out Radio and Smart Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
Make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. All right. There we go.
All right, we're off the air.
All right. We are off the air. Thank you to our, just 1 second, Terry. Thank you to our super chatters tonight. T-Bone with 4. He likes leading the way. Thank you, T-Bone. Trucker Andrew, FaZe Will, Kira, and Forrest Louie. Appreciate it. Oh. Sorry. What are you doing, Terry?
Well, I don't know. Not too many people are aware of how this, when you get into the real research side of this, um, how many people can come at you from so many different ways. You get made so many different promises. And it just seems to be like there's so many people out there that want to be center stage now, that want that airtime, that want to be the next guy center stage, that I've got the greatest of this and that. Or they come at you and they make promises to you, and it, I mean, everything just seems to be ending up in going downstream, right? So when you get into doing this, if you have an experience that changes your life, like it has so many of our own, and you're just trying to get out there and get some answers, and you're fortunate enough to link with some people that actually think you think could help move the ball forward, and maybe get your answers that you're so desperately seeking, and help them get theirs that they're so desperately seeking, right? But you just you gotta pay attention to the woodwork while you're doing that, because that's where things like Enigma Labs come in, Dave. They get into these small research groups, right? And people are out there doing really good work, spending their own money, and getting good. And then all of a sudden you get Enigma Labs coming in and saying, well, we'll give you this and help you move and get your own answers, but you're not going to be able to share them. Or you being in the industry that you're in, getting calls from people who you know dang well want to come forward, but are afraid to, because of things like this. They'll be brought forward, and they'll tell their story, and somebody will get a hold of it and hack it all to pieces. And the next thing you know, they were on an alien ship, and you know, this could get really convoluted really quick, and it's going to get even more convoluted here soon. And you and I both know it.
I agree, buddy. On that note, Terry, I have to say goodnight because I have to get up and take my firearms course in the morning.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Thank
you,
buddy.
buddy.
Yeah, so after today, I can finally earn my stripes as a man.
Well, gonna have to get you down here on the farm, Dave. We'll just go out in the back, and you can be a man all day long.
Yes. Don't forget this weekend, Sweet Robbie G. He has Drew Banky tomorrow night, Margie K. and Debbie Ziegelmeyer on Sunday. And I am back on Monday. Jason McLean and Jessica Jones will be here on Sunday as well. We'll talk to you soon, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me back, fam. Thanks, Dave.
All right,
Ciao for now.
Everybody here, before Terry logs out, look at that mustache. Look
Peace.
at that mustache. See you later.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.